Noah saw the earth, and it shuddered, and its doom was approaching. Noah asked Enoch, "Tell me, what is happening on earth, that it became so weak and shaken?" The voice of the teacher. Sons of desire, giants of power, money and fame, the stench of your vice poisons the air and the earth itself. There is no God. You do not have God. You, among all created beings, are the loneliest and saddest soul in the world. There is God, now and forever. Darkness has stolen your crown of life, and you wander like a shapeless being, without a name, without a home. The choice is yours. God's name, like a big bird, flew out of my chest. A thick fog is swirling ahead, with an empty cage remaining behind. Osip Mandelstam. In the days of crisis and decline, the highest help was given to humanity. Disciples were sent with a special mission. Such a mission was entrusted to Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. In a letter to Synod, the Master Moria wrote, "She is a woman with exceptional talents. Even though she had personal shortcomings, the way she was, she remained unsurpassed. There was no more suitable person in the world for our mission. We sent her to America, brought together with assistant Olcott, and the work started." Henry Steele Olcott, 1832-1907, participant of the American Civil War, military officer, lawyer, journalist, writer. From Henry Olcott's diary. One day, in summer 1874, I was busy with some tedious work, calculations about the mechanical device of water meters. For some reason, or for no reason at all, a butterfly caught my eye. It was quiet, and I thought, it's been a few years since I stopped following the spiritualist movement. I left everything and headed to Vermont, several hundred miles from New York, where strange phenomena were happening on the farm of Eddie's family. At spiritualistic seances, there was a compaction of the forms of ghosts of people once alive. I stayed there for 3 days and received full confirmation of these phenomena. Returning to New York, I published in the newspaper an account of what I had seen, which was distributed all over the world. So significant and interesting were the facts collected. The editor of another newspaper suggested me to return to Vermont with an artist and conduct a thorough investigation with sketches. In September, I was already back to Vermont at Eddie's farm. Indian summer was in full swing. The foliage of birches and maples, beaten by the first frosts, turned into a golden purple pattern. Here was the last smile of summer. Farewell to life, and a promise of a new meeting. Good Lord, just look at this specimen, I whispered to the artist. A red Garibaldi shirt was the first thing that caught my eye. The hair, wavy and silky like that of a Cotswold sheep. She was sitting with a French-Canadian woman accompanying her. I addressed her in French and asked for how long she had been here, as well as about the phenomena taking place here. I came here under the impression of Colonel Olcott's reports, although I doubt if I'm right. But why? I'm afraid Colonel Olcott might stick me in one of his newspaper articles. You have nothing to fear on this score, madam, because I am Colonel Olcott. We became friends in an instant, which was preceded by eternity. Spiritualism. In a general sense, it means communication with dead souls. It originates from the Rochester knockings occurred in 1848 in New York State in a house owned by the Fox sisters. It spread across America at the speed of a kind of psychic cloud. Even President Lincoln resorted to it in critical cases. In her album, Elena will write, I was sent to America for a specific purpose, to Eddy brothers, who had a long mediumistic tradition. Their great-grandmother was a witch convicted in 1692 during the Salem trial. I had to prove the truth of such phenomena and at the same time demonstrate the fallacy of spiritualistic theories. I didn't want the general public to know about my abilities to reproduce such phenomena at will. I was told to make Colonel Olcott understand the danger of spiritualism without the occult philosophy. Participating in the sessions, Elena was attracted by the phenomenon of the ghost of John King, known since 1850 as the spirit of the pirate Henry Morgan, pardoned by King Charles II and knighted. With Elena, he turned into a new personality with a philosophical side to him. He manifested himself both as a servant and as a messenger of living adepts, but never as their equal. John King's self-portrait was widely known and is now kept in Adyar at the headquarters of the Theosophical Society. Having come to the defense of spiritualism, Elena became involved in journalistic activities. Her articles fascinated America with a brilliance of mind, a cheerful, bold, brusque spirit, and stunning psychic power. It was the first battering ram that punched a hole in the consciousness of materialists. The popularity of spiritualism had peaked. At this very moment, Elena receives a letter from the master. It is ordered to start telling the truth about phenomena and mediums. From this moment, my torment will begin. All spiritualists will rise up against me. Oh my Lord, thy will be done. He is ordering me to establish a secret society similar to Rosicrucians. He promises to help. Indian disciple Damodar writes, the members of the Grand Lodge of Mahatma Kuthumi and Maurya decided to give life to the Theosophical movement at a critical moment when the sand in the hourglass of Western spiritual life almost dried up, beginning to show up the signs of degeneration and decay. Hurry up, you blind and mournful, carefree revelers in the halls of pleasure. No stone will be left unturned from your pleasure palaces. May God help you to understand this before it's too late. Blavatsky's participation in spiritualistic seances shocked the consciousness of contemporaries and attracted to her a native of Russia, Georgian-born Michael Bettanelli. He was charmed and offered his heart and hand to her. "You're talking nonsense," Helena was amazed. But he insisted. He promised to help the cause of the masters. He even threatened to commit suicide. Helena became tired of resisting and agreed. The marriage was registered in a Unitarian church in Philadelphia in March 1875. From Colonel Olcott's diary. In private, I expressed my surprise to her at such a strange marriage. I know, but I decided to give him what he asks for. This is one of those unavoidable disasters of my life. The law of inexorable karma. Serapis, the teacher of the Egyptian lodge, writes to Olcott. She will have to relive this horror once again. Lonely, defenseless, and yet fearless, she will face the dangers of the great unknown and mysterious. The law of self-sacrifice forced her to accept this smart fellow, and it may happen that you lose your sister. Such is Providence. She must either win or fall victim. Pray for our sister. This is one of her hardest trials. The cup of bitterness is drunk by her to the bottom. Oh, brother, the shadow of darkness is coming. This ill-fated marriage lasted less than 4 months. Later, in May 1878, divorce was issued in New York. The lawyer in court was Blavatsky's associate, judge. But the trouble does not come alone. Helena is dangerously ill. She fell down and had a severe knee injury. An acute inflammatory process of the periosteum began with a partial progressive gangrene. The doctors insisted on amputation. In a letter to her family, Helena writes, "I am determined to die, but with 2 legs. Damn it all, gangrene or tumor, I won't tolerate it. My God, why was I born in this world? I hate myself for that." Her spirit rebelled. The voice of the Master Moria. Sit with me at dusk, when peace falls like a veil over the turmoil of the day. Turn your face to the east. No need to think that we are protected from attacks of darkness in our earthly life. Fight, and once in the midst of a battle, you will find out that defeat is a victory, for the only thing that matters is gaining experience, not the outcome of the battle. True defeat is a refusal to fight. And what next? Is the road going uphill and uphill? Yes, until the very end. The teacher, together with an African servant, cured me by putting a small white doggy on my sore leg. In a letter to her family, Helena writes, "And here I am, still alive. If I have to die, it is only in order to move better towards the truth. If you live, then in its name. My teacher saved me. He overshadowed me with the breath of incorruptibility and pushed myself out of me. And now I'm not me, but someone else, powerful and strong." He told Olcott to start foundation of the society and become its president. On September 7, 1875, the first meeting of the future Theosophical Society was held in New York at 46 Irving Place. Almost 2,000 people gathered, but the official date is November 17, 1875, when the official charter and name were taken. The child was born. "Hosanna!" exclaimed Elena. The main goals of the Theosophical Society were forming a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color, studying the ancient and contemporary religions, philosophy, and science, investigating the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. Theosophia means divine wisdom. The name dates back to the 3rd century AD. Anna Kamensky wrote in her introductory article, "Blavatsky created a theosophical movement that will not take away its crown from any religion. With the tremendous power of its synthesis, it will force everyone to recognize the new star of spirituality." From the Memoirs of Colonel Olcott. After the formation of the Theosophical Society, she and I jointly rented 2 apartments on the 47th Street in New York. The journalists baptized the Theosophical residence as the Lamasery. Our rooms didn't look the way an artist painted them. The furniture was not similar. There wasn't African servant, and the office was so cramped that we walked sideways. And the Theosophical cat Charles was not sitting on the colonel's desk. Otherwise, it really was a spiritual residence, a heaven for the poor and the rich, scientists and the unlearned. I knew a rabbi, continued Olcott, who spent all his evenings at Blavatsky's discussing Kabbalah. This is what the rabbi told me. "I've been studying this secret science for 30 years, but Blavatsky taught me what I could not even dream of." She explained to me the provisions that the best of Kabbalah teachers could not understand. From the Memoirs of Blavatsky's assistant, William Judge. From morning to evening she was surrounded by various kinds of visitors, sometimes very strange and original. But at the same time she continued to work on Isis Unveiled in the most carefree manner. The first sketch of it appeared in the summer of 1875 in New York. "I wrote this last night on orders," she said to Olcott, "but I don't know what for. Maybe for a book. Maybe no one will ever need it at all. Anyway, I did what I was told," recalls Olcott. And she put the pages in her desk drawer. Now, all my thoughts are busy not with writing Isis, but with Isis herself. In full consciousness, I live in the incessant magic of visions. In endless succession, the images of the past pass before my inner eye, slowly and silently. Century after century, races, peoples, countries, cities flare up and fade away, disappearing. Isis revealed to me the mystery of the lost secrets. The veil becomes thinner, more transparent, and falling off. I freeze. I'm afraid to move. the primordial goddess of beauty, guides me herself. Following words are engraved on the slab. I am everything, the past, future, and present, and none of the mortals lifted my veil. The heavenly abode of the goddess Isis is the double star Sirius, the brightest in the sky. The priests gazed reverently at the sky, dotted with an endless multitude of stars. The choirs of slender luminaries are wandering rhythmically and smoothly, always in the same direction, from east to west, and none of them will go astray. Isis was written so easily that it was not a labor, but a pleasure, wrote Helena to her family. What for should I be praised? I just keep on writing. Why? Because I'm writing at the dictation of someone who knows everything. From Olcott's diary, her pen just flew across the pages, and you should have seen her manuscripts. The sheets are cut, glued, re-glued, from 7 to 10 strips. She sat at her desk for 17 hours a day, almost 6 months not leaving her room. Finally, after 2 years, the work on the book is completed. The lawyer judge wrote, right after signing the contract with the publisher of Isis, Helena Petrovna told me, now I have to go to India. The authorship of Isis is a joint work of the teachers and Blavatsky. The teachers dictated to her the pages from the books stored in dozens of libraries around the world. The master Kuthumi said, she obeyed our orders, and she wrote, sometimes deliberately veiling those facts that humanity was not ready yet for. In 1877, the 2 volumes of Isis Unveiled were published in New York with a circulation of 1,000 copies. It was a sensation. The first edition was swept off the shelves in just 10 days. The Isis contains an explanation of hundreds of mysteries, being of the greatest interest to the mystics. The morning approaches, but it is still night. Helena's gaze caressed the edge of the eastern sky. Does everything in nature promise coming of tomorrow? Do your heads bow down for the blessing of the spirit of peace? It is tough for everyone, but the life is limitless. Its power is indescribable. Its creativity amazes. My mission in America is over. I'm going back to India. On December 10, 1878, the newspaper Daily Graphic reported that Helena Blavatsky was leaving America, and, according to her, forever. Reporter: so, are you going to leave America? Yes, I'm glad to leave your country. You have freedom, but that's all you have. American soil turned out to be too poor for the seedling of Theosophy. I feel sorry to leave the Lamasery, where I spent so many happy, very happy hours. Though there is not much left to regret now. The Sun, Sunday newspaper, dedicated an article to the farewell evening in the Lamasery. The talk was about the future of the Theosophical Society. Later, a phonograph was brought from Thomas Edison, who himself was a member of the Theosophical Society. The voices of Blavatsky, Olcott, Judge, and others were recorded. The Theosophical cat Charles, for the last time, purred in front of the paper funnel, and the conversation about the mental and religious freedom of the world continued. The last day we spent in America was December 17, 1878. Standing on the deck of the steamer Canada, Helena exclaimed, "Oh, forward to the promised land!" Charles the cat was given to a good theosophical home, but on the way he disappeared from the basket. In her diary, Blavatsky writes regretfully, "Charles the cat disappeared," followed by 4 exclamation marks. Olcott added, "I think we'll meet him in Bombay." The steamer sailed away from the pier, forever taking away the founders of the Theosophical Society from America. Helena's last entry. A grey day. What next? Everything is unclear but calm. And then in huge Latin letters, "Consummatum est," the words from St. John pronounced by Christ at the crucifixion. Accomplished. The journey to India has begun with a stop in London. Helena wrote, "The wind blew, the storm started, everyone is seasick. Demons and gods pursue us with such persistence as if they served the opponents of the Theosophical Society." From December 20th to 31st, there is only one entry. The days and nights drag on in endless succession, full of boredom, stupid fuss and misadventures. All night we were rocked, twisted and shaken. Olcott is ill and in the bed. Everything is monotonously stupid and painful. I can't wait to see the earth. From Olcott's diary. London met us with a thick fog. Even the people on the other side of the street were invisible. Dr. and Mrs. Billing sheltered us in their country house. All our London friends and journalists started to come to this house. On January 5, 1879, I held the meeting of the British branch of the Theosophical Society, formed its executive bodies, and signed an order according to which Major General Doubleday was appointed as an acting president. The next day, Blavatsky and Mrs. Billing visited the famous library of the British Museum. The time of our stay in London was entirely devoted to the activities of the Theosophical Society. On January 17, 1879, we left for Liverpool, and under torrential rain boarded the steamer Spighol. The ship was dirty, the smell of old carpets and the frowning faces of 40 passengers were a portentous omen. Dirt and noise accompanied our boarding in New York. The same filth and stench was now present on the steamer Spighol. It was necessary to dream strongly about distant India in order to preserve the presence of mind. On January 18, we managed to set off. The sea was stormy. The ship was loaded right under the waterline. Every rolling wave threatened to overturn us. Any attempt to get to Helena Petrovna's cabin could cost me life. Finally, on the third day, I received a categorical order from her to come to her cabin, located on the stern. cabin was a complete mess. The soaked carpet swelled. There was a heavy stench. Helena Petrovna was lying in bed and could not move because of a bruised knee. Only her thunderous voice rode in space. Oh, the Bay of Biscay, in what a frightening form you appeared before us. We passed the Cape Finisterre on the night of January 23 and finally escaped from the fury of this raging gulf. But our sea torments continued for almost a month. February 15 at noon, the Bombay lighthouse is already visible. Descending on Indian soil, the first thing I did was bending down and kissing the granite step. From Colonel Olcott's Memoirs. India greeted us with a great holiday in honor of Lord Shiva. The Mahashivaratri festival is a day of worship and devotion. Drums are beating, bells are ringing, lights are lit in the temples, and the mantra Om Namah Shivaya is chanted. The legend says, this holiday marks the sacred night of spiritual union of Shiva and Parvati. The energy of the Divine Mother, Shakti energy, entered the body of Shiva. The dance of Shiva is a creation of the universe, with creation, preservation, and destruction, and the new creation, the eternal stream.
Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, Shiva,
While Shiva dances, the world exists, told me Madame Blavatsky about the great day of Shiva, recalls Olcott and continues. We already loved India for its historical antiquity, for divine wisdom of the scriptures, and all in all, we were ready to love her for nothing, just like that. With its motley mix of Asian cultures, sadhus forever wandering their spiritual paths, with the carts of the most bizarre shapes drawn by biblical oxen, with temples standing as guardians of another unknown civilization. We have achieved our long-held hopes. For them we crossed so many seas and storms. And now we are standing among the barbarians dear to our hearts, who know how to enjoy life. The joy of being is conditioned neither by wealth nor poverty, and can arise among the most difficult conditions. A person begins to enjoy the life, perhaps not his own earthly life, but the real existence. From Olcott's diary. Bombay charmed us with its truly oriental exotics, but for our living we rented a house in the native part of Bombay. This house became the headquarters of the Theosophical Society for 2 years. Every evening there were impromptu meetings where the most complicated issues of philosophy, metaphysics, and science were discussed. One day, Blavatsky asked her friend Mulji to get a buggy for her. She got into the carriage with Mulji and told him to follow her instructions. The roads forked and ran in different directions, but Helena Petrovna never lost her way, pointing out the right turn. Finally, they stopped at some private estate. Mulji knew these places, but never heard of this estate. Blavatsky ordered Mulji not to approach the house under no circumstances. After a while, Helena Petrovna came out, accompanied by a tall Indian of extraordinary appearance, with a bouquet of roses. To Mulji's question, she only answered that the stranger is an occultist with whom she maintains business relations. But there has never been any estate here. It is not there even now. Your eyes are sealed with enchantments, and besides, the habitats of the adepts are protected from uninvited guests by the illusion of elements, controlled by the elementals. In April 1879, Blavatsky, Olcott, and their entourage took a trip to the north of India. They visited famous Karla caves, the cities of Kanpur, Jaipur, Allahabad, Agra, the capital of the Mughal Empire, and Benares, the capital of ancient India. The journey took place under the patronage of the Master Moria and was a synthesis of exotics, mysticism, and amazing phenomena. But despite almost fabulous pictures, we saw India filled with superstition, prejudice, and apathy to the ideas of the Theosophical Society. On her return to Bombay, Blavatsky wrote, "European doubts are not surprising, but for the Hindus, the heirs of ancient philosophies, to deny yoga and mock it, this was the bitterest disappointment for us, and only the echo of our voice returned to us from the vast Indian void." Then she looked intently at Olcott and added, "Our course is unwavering. There can be no retreat where the divine providence began its action." By the evening of the same day, there was a letter from Master Moria in Olcott's room. "Since you came to conclusion that leaving your country and coming here was an act of a madman, the sooner we figure it out, the better for all of us. First of all, you yourself were eager to come to India. If you are unable to withstand the first trial, you are completely unfit for any further tests. The photo of your son on your desk will forever pull you back to America. There are no fathers, mothers, or children in front of eternity we all stand at. There is only a strenuous work of liberation." Olcott successfully coped with the temptation, and both founders of the Theosophical Society enthusiastically embarked on a new idea, the monthly publication of the Theosophist magazine, of which Blavatsky became the editor. The first and significant acquisition for the society was a young Indian Damodar from the Brahmin caste. I am an Aryan by religion, and having joined the Theosophical Society, I learned about the ancient splendor and glory of my country, the land of Aryans. I am ready to give all my strength for its revival. Damodar moved to the headquarters of the Theosophical Society and since then lived with Olcott and Blavatsky. He regularly wrote articles for the Theosophist. He was the first one introducing the term Mahatma instead of Himalayan brothers. The leading representatives of Indo-British society quickly responded to the new ideas of the century, and the good seal fell on the loosened soil. Who are the sowers? They are the representatives of the Grand Lodge. It was their fiery wave that ignited human hearts. They, the sons of fire, proclaimed the truth in the world religions in the past, present, and future, helping people to find the new light, hope, and consolation. Who remembers the great lords of Atlantis now? It is their words inscribed on the stone tablets. You, showing your face here, if your mind understands, you will ask, who are we? Who are we? Ask the dawn, ask the forest, ask the wave, ask the storm, ask love. Ask the earth of suffering, beloved earth. Who are we? We are the earth. Shimla is the summer capital of the British government. From Olcott's Memoirs. We reached Kalka by train, and after a 5-hour stop, we continued our journey to Shimla. First in palanquins, later in a cart. Soon we found ourselves in a hospitable home of our good friends, the Sinnets. Alfred Percy Sinnet is the editor of the government newspaper, The Pioneer. Alan Octavian Hume, former government minister, ornithologist. After joining the Theosophical Society, he sent telegrams to his assistants with the order, "Stop catching birds." These two people contributed immensely to spread the ideas of the Theosophical Society in India. Blavatsky spent more than a month at Sinnet's house, and one day he asked her, "Would you agree to deliver my letter to the Himalayan brothers?" "I won't promise, but I'll try." The answer came from Master Godhumi, telling that as soon as Mr. Sinnet feels the urge to write to the Master Morya, he may do it. Master Morya will always answer, for Mr. Sinnet has a genuine spark in him, which no brandy can extinguish, flashing time to time with a strong light. Thus began famous correspondence with the Himalayan brothers. 1,300 pages of these letters are now kept in the Rare Manuscripts Department of the British Museum. From Olcott's Memoirs. About phenomena. Blavatsky used to respond willingly to the requests of demonstrating the miracles. Once a professor of Benares College addressed her. "Madame Blavatsky, the Pandits say that in the ancient times there were yogis who could do amazing things. For example, to evoke a rain of roses in the room. Before he could finish, Blavatsky jumped up in her chair. "Is it what they are saying? And that no one can do it nowadays? Well, I'll show them." Murmuring something, she waved her hand imperiously, and a round dozen roses fell on the heads of those present. Blavatsky said, "Are you kids that crave for the miracles?" There are no miracles. There is only one or another degree of knowledge. But in this universe, nothing is given for free. One has to pay a high price for genuine knowledge. This price is your life. The warrior moves along this path, clutching his courage with both hands. Enchanted, he thanks for such an honor, embracing everything on his path with love and gratitude. The whole year of 1880, Blavatsky spent in continuous travels around the cities of India, aiming to create branches of the Theosophical Society. Exhausting trips, Indian heat and dampness undermined her health. She got sick. In a letter to her family, she writes, "My blood has turned into water, seeps out forming bags like those of a kangaroo. I feel I'm dying. Irritability and working 26 hours a day are killing me. I will become a corpse long before the Theosophical Society exclaims with disapproval, 'Wow!'" Master Kuthumi to Synod. "I am near Darjeeling now. Master Moria has to bring the old lady here, otherwise he will lose her forever." Master Moria himself writes to Synod, "She is too ill. As in America in 1877, I have to take her away, fearing she would fall to pieces." Moria took her away, first to Darjeeling, then to Sikkim, to the ashram of the teachers. Elena Petrovna wrote to Synod, "Oh, blessed days, just like before, the same hut, the same majestic panorama of Kanchenjunga, the same silent yellow-clad disciples, an inextinguishable pipe of my master, and familiar sweet voice of your Kuthumi." Elena Petrovna was healed. All signs of Bride's illness disappeared, and she has to leave again. "Yes, I'm afraid you must leave, for your beauty may captivate the disciples," joked the Master Moria. Before December 1882, Elena Petrovna returned to Bombay. On the 7th, everybody celebrated the 7th anniversary of the foundation of the Theosophical Society. A banner with the symbol 39 was raised, which meant establishment of 39 branches of the society. 10 days later, on December 17, the founders and the household, Damodar, Babula, the Coulomb couple, Blavatsky's acquaintances from Egypt, whom she gave shelter now, and 2 four-legged friends, doggies Jin and Paddy, left their home at Crow's Nest and departed to Madras. They arrived in a house with the columns standing on the bank of the Adyar river, on the outskirts of the city. The house was bought for 9,000 rupees and became the new headquarters of the Theosophical Society. This is how it looked like at that time on a drawing made by William Judge. Helena Petrovna settled on the second floor. She wrote to her family, "It's so lovely here, the nights, a wonderful silence, the air. I sit and write and watch the ocean, brilliant, boundless, as if alive." Helena Petrovna spent the whole year of 1883 at Adyar headquarters. Within this year, she wrote more than 700 pages. The following books were written: Religion of the Future, Pantheism and Morality, Karma, The Power of Healing, Transmigration of the Atoms of Life, Projection of the Double, The Sevenfold Principle in Esotericism, The Soul of Things, The Science of Life, and others. In the book The Science of Life, Blavatsky writes, "Occultism is the art of life, where the highest joy is combined with compassion. Sadness is always present in us. It is quiet and inconspicuous." The evening was approaching. The sun hadn't set yet. One day of earth was to end. Soon the veil of night will descend on your path. From the depths of 20 centuries emerge the words of Italian poet Dante. Midway upon the journey of my life, I found myself in a dark forest. An early morning, the sun in its abode, the same stars accompanying them, their beautiful host, moved by love divine. Mysterious vibrations of the fading day brought Helena back from the shadows of the past. Midway upon her earthly path, she was summing up the results of her life. Her life was marked by force and violence. Her service to the higher principle left her no choice. This was the road of no return. But she couldn't say goodbye to the old world, for this world was the field of her activity, and the world where she once took the first steps towards the freedom. In a letter to Aunt Nadezhda, Helena Petrovna wrote, "Everybody thinks I'm terminally ill. I don't have long to live. I miss Russia, and I really wish to see my country again. Please send some Russian. I want to see and hear a Russian person." The answer, strange and unexpected, came instantly. Images of her distant childhood flashed from the depths of her mystical memory. The long winter evenings, the riddle games with guessing an author from book passages, and those were the lines. Polina was approaching rapidly. Her pallor was striking. "Moscow has been taken. The French have set Moscow on fire," she said, without responding to the nodding, captured Frenchman. "It can't be," cried the Frenchman. "My God, my God! The fire of Moscow is the death of the French army. Napoleon will have no place to hold on. No, no, it's the Russians. The Russians lit Moscow." And he left. "Is the Frenchman right?" exclaimed Polina. "Oh, if so, I can be proud being the Russian. Europe will never defeat the people who chop off their own hands and burn their capital. The universe will be amazed at the great sacrifice." Polina's eyes shone. I hugged her. "You don't know," she whispered to me. "Your brother, he's happy. He wasn't captured." "Rejoice. He was killed for the salvation of Russia." I screamed and fell unconscious. Pushkin, The Story, Roslavlev. What occurred once will occur again. Blavatsky heard the teacher's voice. There is no end to the mystery called man, and there is no end to the mystery called the world. Early in the morning, the steamer Chandernagor, with an Indian crew on board, was taking Blavatsky to the south of France. She was saying goodbye to India forever.